Before we get started today, I just wanted to make a quick announcement. My band Lorenzo's Music has just released a remix album. It is the second in a series of remix albums we've done. It's called Lorenzo's Remixes Volume 2. It was released on the Block Sonic Net label, and it features not only remixes of our songs by me, but there is an entire second half that features remixes of our songs by musicians from all over the world. So go check out the album, Lorenzo's Remixes Volume 2, and you can hear all the different tracks and reimagined songs right there. Now, on to the show. This week, I am talking to a person that runs their own platforms, who is a musician, who also promotes others through running his own PeerTube channel, by doing live streams with Owncast, by just so many things. They pursue a lot of the stuff that I've been getting interested in, which is more federated and free and self-hosted platforms. And it's quite the task to do. So that's why I wanted to meet this person, just first of all, because I appreciate what they do. I think that their work is phenomenal and I love how they're promoting people. But second, because I wanted to learn what it takes to do this kind of stuff. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. Musician, entrepreneur, let's just say entrepreneur. And we're going to start the show right now.
I'm Set. Set Hallström is my full name, but everybody calls me Setto. I often find it easier to talk about what I'm not doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it feels like more short. But I have a bit of a surrealistic CV. I'm basically a graphic designer, a school graphic designer, but I've been practicing music since I was about 8, maybe. Pretty exactly 8. And at some point I finished my studies in Switzerland. I'm half Swiss, half Swedish. And
Okay.
I moved to Barcelona, basically, because I felt like there was not really any opportunities for electronic music in Switzerland. And I had a good opportunity in Barcelona, so I moved there, and I lived there for 5 years. Operated a lot in the show business. With a partner, we ran some pretty good clubs in some pretty prominent venues, and it was all fun. But I was never really a good friend of show business. Like this kind of constant, basically, you have to talk about yourself all the time, which I guess I'm doing now. But
Right.
but like doing that in a whole sort of like selling perspective, it wasn't really my thing. And so at some point I fell in love with a girl, and thing led to another. I basically moved back to Sweden, where I was born, and ever since. I live in Stockholm now, and I guess what's interesting about this showbiz, me not being so much friend, is that basically that's where this Basspistol operation stemmed from. It's when I started, when I released my first record, my first album. It was on a very nice label in Switzerland called Villa Magica Records, and
And you were doing it under that name when you released this?
no, at that time I called myself Reset.
Oh, okay.
So
Wait, Reset Radio?
no. So that's the
Okay.
thing is like if you Google for Reset, or you will find everything except me. But
Okay.
at that time I was like, okay, I need to have a website for my music. And so I asked a friend to kind of help me learn HTML, and I had to put a title in the website. And I was like, what do I put here? And he said, you just put the Je m'appelle Reset Sacré-Cœur, because it's sort of the stereotype of French language. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that's cool. I'm Reset Sacré-Cœur now.
Okay.
And so I'm very much a computer geek, and a lot of the people around me were very involved in Linux and free software, and I was very keen on this whole Creative Commons idea of basically sort of disrupting the industry in a way.
Yeah.
And I figured at some point that that I sort of that the only way to kind of be happy with the situation was to do it in my own way, and
Mhm.
basically sort of kind of craft my own reality. And so in the beginning, Basspistol was more like a booking agency, really,
Mm,
because with some friends we discovered that if we called venues and told them like, "Oh, hi, I'm Reset Sacré-Cœur. I would like to play in your venue,"
right.
then they would be like, "Oh yeah, well, who are you?" And yeah, well, maybe you could play like the opening hour, and it's for free.
Yeah.
But if you did the same call and you were like, "Oh, hello, I'm Seth Hallström. I am the manager of Reset Sacré-Cœur," then it was a completely different story.
I hope so much that you did it in that voice when you did it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
But so we thought like, okay, instead of kind of like lying or bluffing in, we create this sort of like umbrella organization, and
Hmm.
where we're kind of all referring to each other, but we remain independent. We're just helping each other out, like having someone kind of vouching for your, for your professionalism.
Yeah.
And so that's how Bass Pistol started. Basically, I think this was 2010.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I am familiar with, I mean, basically, I've seen the name around so many times in so many venues. I want to say personally that the first time I learned about it online was PeerTube. And because I think you're one of the first people I was aware of that started a PeerTube instance. And it's one of those things too where I also was kind of just learning what PeerTube was, so I wasn't sure what it was. So here it was. I thought you started like a new, well, I mean, and you did kind of started like a new video channel or video network, or like you were another, like you were Daily Motion to the YouTube, like it was like that, not just like, oh, this is a self-hosted instance. Like I understand it more now.
Mm.
But when
Yeah.
I first saw it, I was just like, oh, this person's starting like a music video network,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
again, it kind of is. I
It
mean,
kind of is, yeah.
technically it is self-hosted,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
so I've heard about it in many different ways over the years, and it would keep popping up. Now, first, I want to know, we learned about how you got the musician name that you were using, but how did you get Bass Pistol? Where did that come
Right.
from?
So yeah, it's a long time I haven't thought about that story, but
Okay.
basically, I had a band at some point, and we played one of the biggest stage in Barcelona in Nizza Club,
Oh,
and it's like it's massive. It's 2,000 people in the crowd, and at that point I had bought myself like a Jomox synthesizer. I actually have it here, like this little guy,
oh,
and
okay.
it's basically just bass drums,
Oh,
and
really?
it's really dope bass drums,
Okay.
and it has this little trig button, and so I sometimes I like to add some extra kicks there,
Hmm.
and on that sound system, like it really felt like I had a bass pistol, and I was like shooting at these people with low
Okay.
frequency, and they loved it. And so I
Yeah.
told this to a friend, and he was like, "Oh," because I think I said a bass gun, and he kind of said something like, "Oh, oh, bass pistol," da, da, da. And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good one." So
Okay.
that's how the name came to be.
It's funny. It's so obvious when you say it. Like as you're saying it, I'm like, duh. Of course that's yeah. So it's boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Okay. Duh. Makes sense. Now, you also so you spoke about you were calling places and saying, what if we told them we were this organization and we're booking this act? But it really has kind of become this. So
Yeah.
what are you still? I mean, it's almost like how we started out from the beginning. You are so many things. It's easier to go like what you aren't. But I mean, you're a band. I mean, a net label, a
Mm.
hosting platform. It's what. Tell me about. Yeah, you eventually started adding more acts, and you do have a lot more acts. And even if they're ones that you just share their information with, but like, how did you start meeting other musicians and people that you worked with?
I mean, I've always been sort of in the scene. So I guess
Hmm.
that's mainly how I met people.
Okay.
But let's say, so like, okay, it started like a booking agency, but then at some point, like I was kind of like, yeah, I want to release records too. So I mean, and I did it for my friends and myself, basically. And we weren't that many in the beginning. Uh, but then, I mean, what happens is that basically Facebook took over the internet.
Hmm.
I was already kind of anti MySpace at the time. I felt like it was sort of a weird appropriation of creativity, and then Facebook kind of took it to the next level where like everyone would be there, not just like the creatives,
Right.
and and so it got really lonely on the internet. And so at that point, I really started to look at like what are the alternatives? Like I'd say for a long time it was. I mean, I think I discovered the Fediverse in 2009 when it was Identica.
Hmm. I was on Identica too. Yeah.
Yeah, wicked.
But
Maybe we were
that may have
friends.
been when I heard about you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I really have been hearing your name for many years, so I'm curious if it did start there too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible.
Hmm.
But I mean, I wouldn't say I was super active on the network, but I kind of felt like, okay, this thing has really has some potential. And then I think Mastodon came about, and it was nice. So like I mainly used those platforms, and it was quite lonely for a while. So
Hmm.
we didn't release so much other people. Actually, it was more like myself and other people. I mean, they didn't really need Basspistol because they would put their tracks on SoundCloud and then promote it on Facebook, and it's all good. Like the
Yeah.
idea was always independent, so it was all good. But it kind of rendered the thing a little bit lonesome.
Hmm.
But then at some point, Mastodon came about, but I was never so much friends with the software because it required a lot of resources that I didn't have at the time. But this thing came called Pleroma. And then it kind of became interesting because suddenly I could actually run it on my existing infrastructure.
And you're
And
saying as an alternative to Mastodon.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like
All right.
I guess that's kind of when we ramped up activity on of the whole thing, because basically suddenly here was a space where we could do it on our own terms.
Hmm.
And it also became more fun to kind of like reach out to other people and like get them to participate, because I think also, so I think this was maybe 2016 or something
Hmm.
like that. And uh, and people were kind of starting to feel like, okay, this Facebook thing, it's not helping me, and so they were
Well, what
starting to
happened
get.
was is everybody else started getting good at it. The people promoting themselves weren't the smart ones anymore. Everybody was able to promote themselves and they figured it out. I think that
Yeah,
was really the downfall of it is it just became everybody being really good at promotion.
yeah, yeah. It could very well be.
Yeah.
It could very well be. I mean, there was also definitely sort of like a commercial takeover, because at
Hmm.
I mean,
For sure.
today, I mean, you can be very good at it, but if you don't pay, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I, I, I don't really care. I mean, they can go to hell
Tell
for
us how
all
you
I,
really feel.
yeah, yeah, no, like, I hate them. I hate them. No, I mean, I do, but it's just like at this point, I'm no longer like, it's not really my problem anymore, because
Yeah.
I create this outlet and I have my presence there, and I don't need that. I mean,
Yeah.
in a way, I think it's more interesting when people kind of finding you and on their own and sort of like enjoying it for whatever it is. It feels more special or like valuable to me than sort of kind of harvesting like the fruit of this mad sort of marketing
Hmm.
operation. I mean, I
Yeah.
get that you need some level of marketing, of course, and I guess everything you put out
People
is.
need to find out somehow, even if it's word of mouth. There is marketing is still how people discover things. I mean,
Yeah,
in any sort of form. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, like it's this kind of like this fine line between community and markets,
Mm-hmm.
because in a way, yeah, word of mouth and all that jazz, but it doesn't have to imply sort of like commercial interest.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it would be nice to kind of live out of music and all that, but the thing is, I've honed a lot of skills in my life, and so I was never completely dependent on my artistic output. And I would say at the time where I sort of was, it stopped kind of being fun also because it, it would be sort of like, well, like work, you kind of worry, like you need to meet the ends, and then you start to care about expectation and like what is it other people see in you and what is it like they want.
Yeah.
Whereas I would rather kind of stay true to myself and do whatever I want, and and
Mm-hmm.
then people can take it or not. But that's their problem. It's not my problem.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah,
well, and that's the thing too, is like, well, I feel the same way. And, Facebook, like I'm not active as much on it anymore, or even Twitter or whatever, X Twitter as it is now. But I still use them in the sense where there are people out there who are on it just because they don't know anything else. And it's
yeah,
still the whole, like, not connecting with people who are on something just because they don't follow what's up with it or what it is.
right.
It's just like, I'm not talking to you because you're over there. And it's like, well, they're just not active as to what the do's and don'ts, the rights and wrongs of these
Right.
different platforms are. They're just like, well, this is where I connect to things. It's
Yeah.
like when people take their music off of Spotify. I get that. But at the same time, there are people who just listen to music on Spotify, and to them,
Yeah.
that's like, oh, that's where the music is. And if you're not on there, well, then they're just not hearing you.
Yeah.
And you're just denying it from them. So and I agree. Like, I am very much a self-hosted, free and open internet, Creative Commons guy. But I understand the existence of other things for, like, say, coworkers that I have, like, all they know is the radio. They
Yeah.
don't go looking for music online. They hear what the radio tells them, and
Yeah.
and then if
Yeah.
you show them something, they go, "Oh, that's cool," and then I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't
No,
know
no, but
exactly
I
what I'm
hear
getting at
you.
here,
No,
but
but
I'm just saying everybody's everywhere.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, so that's the thing. So like, okay, if I unpack it a little bit, because I mean, I agree with you completely. Like the thing Spotify exists, and it's for sure it's the thing that has probably the most sort of users and
Right.
whatnot. Uh, but I mean, so the first thing is like I kind of feel like I want to do the things like I want to put my heart where my heart is safe, if, in a
Yes,
way.
for sure.
And I also kind of want to treat my peers the way I wish they would treat me. And so it
Hmm.
doesn't really feel right to tell them go listen here. But at the end
Yes.
of the day, whether I tell them to listen to me on Spotify or on my website, the only way I can do it is by sending them a link.
Yeah.
And so if the link I send them has a big ass play button, I mean, they are probably going to press it. Now, that's given that they actually click the link, right? Because there's no guarantee of that.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is that I don't really think it's really useful to kind of, how to say this? So no, I'm going to say it another way. I put a lot of weight on sort of actually IRL meetings, and I think
Hmm.
that's kind of where I build the where I build community and network
Like face to
basically.
face. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because I think also often it's a place where it's easier to sort of show what I'm like, how like why it is better.
Yeah.
Because like debating online is kind of hard and
Right.
maybe and maybe useless, but like when
Uh-huh.
you actually get a feel of someone, it's
Well,
different.
and it's hard in the sense too, where it's just even going back and forth. And if other people join in, depending on the platform, like you comment and then you realize you're already 2 comments behind in the thread that's happening. And then you've commented on something where somebody already said it. Anyway, yeah, online,
Yeah,
it's definitely better to do it in real life. And also,
yeah,
while you were talking, I realized when I was saying that thing before, I lost my train of thought. Now I remember where I was going with it, and you reminded me. And so I meant with that, I mean, a lot of people will tell me, like when I talk about self-hosted and about how I've really gotten back into. Actually, I've only recently not discovered, figured out what the Fediverse is. For the longest time, I was very confused by the Fediverse. Going back to when I said I saw you at a PeerTube instance, and I was like, oh, he's starting a video network, and I thought of it was like a YouTube competitor. No, that's not it at all. Just like with Identica, it was a place, and I was like, oh, I loved this, and I loved what they were doing, and then it turned into co-social. I don't know. I don't remember what it went into after that. But
yeah,
then all of a sudden there was GNU social and all this stuff. But what confused me is you would go and it would go, okay, sign up for this server or sign up for this server.
hmm,
And I was like, wait, am I allowed to? I got confused by the Fediverse
yeah,
for a
yeah, yeah.
while. I didn't understand the activity pub part of it.
Right,
I didn't
right.
understand the interconnectivity, the fact that all these servers communicate and they can be self-owned. They're
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
run by companies. Now, what I was getting at when I was talking about that, everybody can just put their stuff on Spotify and people know what it is. And
Hmm.
there are other options to put it out there. I mean, when you release on Spotify or and release on Apple Music or you release on YouTube and you can do all that kind of stuff. So people are like, why would I want to put stuff on the
Mm,
Fediverse? Why would I want to be on
right.
Faircamp? And so what I was getting at is you do this and this is what
Yeah.
you do. And so you did create, you're like, okay, here's a free and open option. And even if you don't use mine, check out
Hmm.
what it can do. And here's some artists that I'm promoting on it.
Hmm.
This is the Fediverse. And that's what
Yeah.
I was getting at. It was like, so
Right.
why? Because I want to do this too. I'm trying to be more self-hosted. Why are
Uh-huh.
we, how do we explain to people that this is an important thing? I guess is what I'm getting at.
Right. Well, I mean, so that's like in a way, it's to me, it's $1 million question, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, it's a political statement, really. I mean,
Mm.
I run Linux and all that stuff. It's not so much because I think it's superior. It's because it's the correct political option for me. In that, like, I feel like if society is going to be fully digital, then we need
Mm-hmm.
to be able to kind of look into them and see what they're doing and hold our tools accountable in a way that we're not allowed to with proprietary software. So it's really a political thing, and that's also why it's so hard, I think, to talk about it with people, because it instantly becomes sort of it's kind of like a boycott, you know. So you make a statement and you take a stance, and you know that can fly, but that can also totally crash with your peers, because yeah, I mean, here comes someone sort of elevating, and then oh, fuck Spotify. But it's like,
Right.
why? It's so easy, and it cost me. And like, why wouldn't you want? Don't you want money for your music?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like the question goes so much deeper. Then I think what's complicated with the Fediverse is really this. It's actually a widespread problem on the internet. Is I don't think many people understand the concept of identity on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course on the Fediverse, like you will register for a server, and it will like, to someone who doesn't ask these questions by themselves, it would be like, oh, but you're offering me another Twitter. And like they
Mm-hmm.
can't, you don't immediately make the link with like the wider network, that it's not like arrested to this server where you were invited. Um, and I think, I mean, this is something we really need to work on a societal level. I think it's all about digital literacy, really. Really. So like we need
Mm-hmm.
to understand some of the basics, like what the heck is a file system, and what is identity on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the confusion is. I think, but also, you know, it's easy to forget that like mankind as an internaut is a total noob. I mean, most people today, old school internauts today, they've had the internet in their pocket since like their first smartphone.
Yeah.
Before that, they were not really used to any of it, and nobody is telling them, because they're being handed these pretty shells with shiny buttons, and you know they press yes when they want to say yes and no when they want to say no, and that's it, you know. But no one is telling them how the thing is actually working. And so, I mean, it seems that as a as a species, we're going to have to learn the hard way. It appears, but I'm actually quite optimistic because I think most people actually want to have agency and over their own life. And
Mhm.
if their digital life is becoming really important, then they are going to want to have agency on that. And so, like, ultimately, we're going in the right direction, all of us. I'm for sure. It's just we're in an unfortunate moment of this evolution.
Mhm. Well, and now speaking of this evolution, now I've mentioned several times that I've seen you pop up in many different places on the internet, and exactly what what it is you do. Now let's get down to specifics here. I've mentioned your PeerTube site. And first of all, what are you putting on that? Who are you promoting? Bands that you are just randomly? Are you finding videos? Are people asking to upload it? Are people joining it? Like, what is the actual concept behind your PeerTube page?
So I mean, the whole thing is pretty organic and chaotic. Honestly, there's not so
Uh-huh.
many like written rules or anything, but the modus operandi has been basically provide space and opportunity. So like open a chat channel and then let people join it if they want to, and have a good thing going there. And then suddenly someone will say, "Oh, actually, I would like to publish something. So could I have an
Okay.
account on the PeerTube?" So yeah, well, yeah, you
So
could.
you give them an account so they can upload themselves, is what you're
Yeah,
saying. They
yeah,
don't
yeah,
go,
yeah.
here's a video, could you put this on your PeerTube
No,
channel?
no.
Okay.
They get their own account. At this point in time, we're a little bit saturated, sadly. So
Yeah.
we can't really take on like so. PeerTube has really seen like an uptick in popularity. Like
Hmm.
I had to close down the forum because it was, yeah, I got a lot of them, and it's not so fun to turn people down. So
Right.
I just closed it down and left some semi cryptic instruction on how to kind of get there, and it's been working pretty well, kind of a natural filter. Um, but really, like, the basis is community. So like if you join the channels and you vibe, then probably you found your spot, and if you haven't, it's all good. Stick around, and
Hmm.
we'll see what happens in the coming years. And
Okay, but it
yeah.
was open to people to submit. And I do get that. I get that. And that's one of my questions that I always ask when people are talking about hosting video themselves using PeerTube or other services that some of the people I've spoken to have done is my mind just can't get out of the fact that it's like, God, that's got to be expensive as all get out.
Right.
It's, and
No,
also
but
PeerTube, which I should have them on because they'd be able to answer specifically. But my understanding is that it's also a peer-to-peer network. So the more people watching the video
yeah.
actually takes away from the bandwidth being used because it's also using like a torrent like peer-to-peer system.
Yes, 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 exactly. So that's the beauty with it.
Yeah.
Uh, but you're right that it's expensive. Now, I'm lucky because that specific server is donated to us by
Oh,
Swiss sort of software foundry called Alcenet. And so
okay.
they've always supported us, like from the beginning. Like we've benefited from a lot. So like the radio station and the PeerTube is hosted on their
That was going to be
servers.
one of my questions was really how are you taking care of managing this? So how did you meet them and how did that you get into that relationship for them to help you out?
It's a childhood friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like we go way way back, and so I mean they're basically in the ISP business.
Hmm.
So and that's it's an interest it's a really interesting world. But like so like how I go about it is really human relations, and it's actually the same kind of thing with who gets an account or not. It's very rare that that nobody knows from anything even asks,
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say a lot of all that stuff happened that way. I mean, these days we have a little bit more hardware, but for example, Herr Irrtum, maybe you've heard of him, a German musician who's quite involved in Basspistol.
Hmm.
He's donating also some some machine power. So we have
Oh,
like
cool.
what you call a Gancio, like an event calendar. And
Yes, I was going to ask you about that next. That was my next question. I've only just recently discovered that, but continue with what you were saying.
and then also he runs the Git. We have a Forge Joe, like a Git, kind of like a GitHub clone.
Oh, okay.
So that he donates that, and then I mean, I guess I donate Machine 2. That's where we run the Miski and the websites.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and now moving on to go the different things you're doing. I literally have it right here. It was the V or wait, not V Bass Pistol. Anyway, yes, the events page that you have.
Right.
Oh, Do
Yeah.
Bass Pistol. That's what it
Do
is.
yeah. Do dot base
So
pistol.
I just recently saw this, and maybe it was through your site, but the yeah, the events page, and I was like, what is this? What is this site? What is? And I scroll down to the bottom, and I see, and it's Gansha.
Gancio. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and it's amazing. And what I
Yeah.
like too is that you have events all the way to October listed already.
Yeah. 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 Well, but that's the power of federation, really.
Yeah.
So, but Gancio is really cool. Yeah, it's an Italian project. So Italy has a very strong sort of alternative scene culture. So um, it's built by strongly anti-capitalist people,
Hmm.
and so Gancio in Italian, if I understand correctly, it means hook.
That's I looked it up too, and that's what I saw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so and so the thing is that in Italy, all this like this cultural center, alternative cultural centers are basically running one, and so we federated with them, and now so that's how the calendar is so populated. But if you look closer, you will see it's mostly Italy, and I understand also in Canada there is a
Hmm.
strong scene. I mean, I have the list of the instances I follow, well, that we follow, I would say, but not in the head really. But I mean,
Okay.
I've done due diligence. It's of course there could be something popping up that's unwelcome, but it's very unlikely because the people who run them are very sort of yeah, they do tight
Okay.
moderation. Yeah.
All right. And so my question with that was, and going with the like you're a net label, you're a hosting company, you're a promotion company, and how are you finding the people for these events? How are they getting on your calendar?
So most of them would not be getting on it through our instance. So they would get they would post it on another instance, but then through
Okay.
federation it would be input in our calendar as well.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
therefore being the federated part of the Fediverse,
Yes.
you've got instances or information that you're getting from somewhere, and it talks to the servers that you have created, which
Yes.
is the beauty of the Fediverse. Okay,
Yes.
all
And
right.
it's great because I mean the event space is really kind of occupied by Facebook, and so you know I at some point I had we were running Mobilizone also,
Hmm.
and it was also nice, but somehow a lot more difficult to moderate, and
Yeah.
so it's kind of difficult to build awareness about something, and then like when you go to that thing, it's kind of like empty or you know spammy or
Hmm.
broken. So this was just perfect because I mean, like you said, you get into the page and there's events for the whole year, but yeah, I mean, we're currently working on sort of raising. I am working a lot on raising local awareness. So here in Stockholm about this thing, and
How are you
it's
doing that?
mm, mostly through people. So like IRL, but I'm involved in a collective here in Stockholm called Momangen,
Hmm.
which is kind of like an art center. It's one of the only alternative art spaces in Stockholm, and through there I meet a lot of interesting people.
Oh,
And I mean,
how did
it's
you find out about that place?
street art. So I've been very involved in graffiti,
Okay.
like very involved, and
Yeah.
so like, I mean, it's I feel like I should be able to answer the question, but it's hard because I think I think I think I'm quite lucky in my encounters with other people. Really,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll agree with that. Yeah, as we've been coming up to the questions I'm going to ask, you've already been like kind of answering it and like going, and it's because of this person, and I learned how to do it from this and this person. Yeah, no, it's awesome. You really have gotten lucky in that in a good way, and I don't just mean like you lucky bastard. No, you've been, you've been really good. And then you mentioned the website before, and you're clearly involved in technology, and you've mentioned that before, that you're also like a tech guy. And on your website you have a join button right on the website. So what does that do? Like, what can people expect if they click on that join button, and when they join up, what's the next move?
yeah. Well, I mean, they can expect community. That's what they can expect.
Okay.
There's no promise that it's going to be like their community or that they're going to love it or anything like that. But that's what gives. And
Okay.
so, I mean, the join button, I think it takes you to a form which asks a few questions, and that form has been kind of evolving a lot according to sort of people filling it out. Uh, and so, like, what can you expect? Well, basically, I mean, you can't expect too much really because we're grassroots, and it's not like we are like benevolent millionaires doing philanthropy. We're just really out there to kind of help others empower themselves and kind of like start trust their own creativity, like believe in their output, and like that it's worth it, and I
Hmm.
think this is a narrative that I really believe in, but I don't think it's very common. I mean, maybe it's starting to become more common. I think a lot through networks like the Fediverse, where like I feel like people are very much being encouraged in being themselves, like being the best version of themselves, kind of kindest version of themselves. And so I guess that's the thing. So, but I mean, of course, like if you are looking for if you're looking for like help getting out there and getting your
Hmm.
stuff out there as a musician, then we can help you. It doesn't mean that we are going to make you like rich from it or that you're going to be successful, but we're going to make sure it's fun and like you will get feedback and you will be heard basically, which is
Yeah,
yeah.
and on the site you say that you could help people with website and creating a store, which includes their own Faircamp page, Matrix server. I think you have listed there, and then you also have PeerTube. Like, all the things that we've talked about today is one of the things that you're saying you can help people out with, or
Yeah,
set them up, or they can somehow be involved with what you're doing, I'm assuming.
yeah.
And also, you mentioned we when you were talking about this. How many people are Basspistol now? Is it just you? Are there several people involved? Like, how are you maintaining all this?
So I guess it kind of depends on how you count.
Uh-huh.
But so like from the foundation, it was like we were three. So it
Mm-hmm.
was Dr. Tikov, it was Yoko, a DJ, and me. And then I guess they kind of had other things that were more important to
Mm-hmm.
them. But I was sort of always the kind of the web guy, the web maintainer. And so it kept on living through me. And then, at some point, like when Facebook started to go to shit, then I guess people found us,
Mm.
And so, I mean, today, like, I don't know, like, if you go to the Matrix channel, and maybe we're like 60 people there. Of those, I'd say half, maybe one third are like active in the channels. Now, are they like doing things like specifically Bass Pistol? Not really. But the thing is that, I mean, at the end of the line, the idea here is not that like Bass Pistol becomes this famous thing.
Mm-hmm.
It can. It, can very well just stay in the background. Like the idea here is like that you as an interestee, you take off. You know, we're just the air under the wings, basically.
Hmm. Okay.
So yeah, I mean today I think sure, like for example now we're going to release I think two records this summer, which
Hmm.
is going to be the first time in a long time that it's not me
Okay.
releasing music
Like a
through that.
compilation with different artists?
No, so like one album uh, and then one EP. So two different artists.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Ear
Gotcha.
Diode and Revenge Day.
All right.
And but like the idea really is to get to get them out there. It's not so
Hmm.
much to flash the Basspistol banner. I do take care in kind of making the Basspistol banner sort of appealing and interesting, but that's mainly it's mainly to kind of yeah, for existential purposes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Recognition. I get it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Now I
Why
know.
not?
So one more thing I want to ask you about, and we kind of started out with this. Now, you as a musician yourself, what is the genre and music that you do? When we wrap up here, but tell us what kind of music it is you do. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So I like to say I do a subgenre of good music.
Okay.
So yeah, no, but like style wise, I so that's one of the issues I had with showbiz, because showbiz was asking me like some sort of stylistic consistency
Hmm.
that I find boring, because okay,
Hmm.
I make a song in this style. I don't know, house music. I love house music. Okay, I make five house music songs. Now I don't want to make house music anymore. I want to make reggae, and so I will do
Hmm.
some reggae. I guess the red thread is it's electronic, because I mostly use machines and yeah, synthesizers. But I'm also a singer, so I mean, I guess a lot of what I do would fall somewhere under pop music.
Right.
But I mean, I also do like techno or dubstep. It really kind of depends on the weather.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. And what's your regular? What's I can't think of the word all of a sudden. How often do you release? There you go. I'll ask it a
Oh,
different way.
right. So it's I don't know. I mean, it's been less and less frequent, simply because I have my mind a little bit on other things. But I think
Yeah.
the last now I started a band with my wife,
Oh wow.
so she sings and I make the beats, I guess, and
Hmm.
so that we released one. I think the last one we released was last year. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's been a while. But yeah, I mean it's
You
waves,
do it
right?
when you do it, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
When the mood hits you.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Okay. Now we've talked all about Bass Pistol and all that. And if people wanted to find out more about it and see all the things that you do, where could they go find out more about it?
Well, you could go to basspistol.com, uh, and that's pretty much the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
so
it's and
so
I can attest to that. Yes, it is.
like like all the music is, you can find it on shop.basspistol.com. Um, I have a website on setto.basspistol.com, also one on sacrecoeur.com. And yeah, I guess those are the places really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, great. I was glad that I got to finally meet you, and I've
yeah,
known
likewise.
kind of like all about you for so long. So it's great to
Yeah,
talk to you.
humbling. Yeah, well, thank you for having me.